In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this topic is The Sign in the Separate Letters Found in the Noble Quran. Now, at the beginning of some chapters of the last revelation of Allah God to people of the Noble Quran, separate letters are found. For example, in chapter 2 verse 1, Allah states Alif Lam Mim, A-L-M, separate letters of the Arabic alphabet, Alif Lam Mim. So there are separate letters at the beginning of some chapters in the Quran. Now the question, what is the reason for these letters? What is the sign that Allah God Almighty wants to show us in these letters? Now, so many people, they say that these letters are an enigma, is something that's secret. Now, this is completely false, because Allah God Almighty wants people to completely understand the Noble Quran. Now, what's the use of sending a book of riddles and secrets? So this is wrong. Now, how to know the explanation of these separate letters? What is the sign in them? Now, the Noble Quran is the best explanatory book for itself. And you can know the explanation of the Quran by pondering upon it, and not just merely reciting it, and by linking the verses with each other. So the key to understand these separate letters found in the Noble Quran can be found in chapter 55, verses 1 to 3, which states, the most compassionate to the Quran created humans. These are the first 3 verses of chapter 55 of the Noble Quran. So if we ponder and reflect upon these verses, we notice that Allah God Almighty links between the Quran and the creation of the human body. So we need now to understand and to think upon the methodology, the way of Allah God Almighty in the Quran and His way in creating the human body. And these separate letters, they indicate to this design of the Quran and design of the human body, and that there is a perfect match between the two. As you'll see in minutes, there is a perfect match between the design of the human body and design of the Quran. Now let's start. These separate letters, they indicate the Arabic alphabet, which is composed of 28 letters. So these separate letters, they indicate the Arabic alphabet. So Allah God Almighty links these letters together to form the Noble Quran. Likewise, in the human body, the creation of the human body begins with amino acids. They are engineering kind of structures. They are called amino acids. And with recent discoveries, their number is approaching 28, the number of Arabic alphabet. Now, it's worth noticing that the letters of the Arabic alphabet by themselves, they don't have any meaning. For example, say A, what's the meaning of A? L, what's the meaning of L? Likewise, the amino acids by themselves, they don't have any function. So we start to see the perfect match between the design of Allah God Almighty in the human body and His design in the Quran. Now the second stage, Allah assembles these Arabic letters, alphabets, to produce words. Now the word, for example, the book, it has a meaning. Book as a word has a meaning. Likewise, in the human body, Allah assembles the amino acids to produce proteins. Now proteins, they have a certain function. For example, collagen protein in the body for growth and absorbing gravitational energy, elastin molecule and protein in the skin to produce the spring effect of the skin and its elasticity. Now the third stage, that Allah God Almighty assembles between the words to produce verses of the Noble Quran. Now a verse has a larger meaning than the words comprising it. Likewise, in the human body, Allah assembles the proteins to produce body tissue. For example, skin tissue, bone tissue, etc. Now the tissue has a larger function to perform compared to the proteins comprising this tissue. For example, bone tissue, it handles loads, maintains the structural integrity of the body. The skin tissue, it maintains the moisture of the body, protects the internal organs. So now the next step that Allah God Almighty assembles between the verses to produce chapters of the Noble Quran. Now a chapter has a larger meaning than the verses comprising it. In the human body, Allah assembles the tissue to produce organs. For example, the heart, lung, kidneys, liver. Now the organ has a larger function or a higher function to perform than the separate tissue comprising it. The last stage of assembly, Allah assembles the chapters of the Quran to produce the final product, which is the Quran, which is a complete book and perfect for the function it's required of it. Likewise, Allah assembles the organs of the human body to produce the final product, which is the human body, which is optimized for its function. So we see, brothers and sisters, glory be to Allah God Almighty, this great sign in these separate letters of the Noble Quran, showing the perfect match between the design of Allah God Almighty in the human body and the Quran. And this testifies that the one who sent down the Quran is the one who created humans, Allah God Almighty. Because there are billions of people on the face of the earth, they believe that there is a creator, but they don't believe that this creator sent down the Noble Quran. So Allah God Almighty wants guidance for people, so He shows them this sign to prove to them that the one who created humans is the one who sent down the Noble Quran, Allah God Almighty, and that the religion of Islam is the religion of truth, and that the Quran is from Allah God Almighty, and not produced by the writings of people. And as I said, God wants guidance for people, and we see here a beautiful scientific, logical fact to bring people closer to Allah God Almighty and the last revelation of Allah God to be with the Quran. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zaidquran@yahoo.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.